Hi, Molly, can you hear me?
Can you try that again, Bethany? Can you hear me?
Are you talking to me, Molly?
Mhm.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
You see if it's my computer.
Should be because it's picking up, the owl's picking up me talking, so.
I can hear you now.
Perfect.
I don't know what happened, but I can hear you now.
No problem.
This
I'm waiting for our council to join. They haven't joined yet.
So this is our quorum.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So who else is going to be on there?
So online today, I'm just gonna mute for a minute, Bethany, until my council joins, okay?
Oh,
Is that you, Shannon?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
I can. Is Chris joining us?
No, Chris has a conflict.
Okay. I'm getting down on his list. I'm not prioritizing him anymore.
No, your priority, trust me.
All right, so I think we have everybody that we need. So Chairman of the Finance Committee, if you would like to begin.
Thank you, Molly. I'd like to call to order the Finance Committee agenda, and a roll call would be Mr. Chairman here, Christine here, and Mike.
no, you.
No, I'm here. Is this the three of us?
It's just us
Oh,
three.
I thought you were still on. No.
I was never on.
No.
You don't trust me with
All right.
everything.
Any old business that anybody wants to bring up?
So,
No, okay. On new business, we have the proposed 2026 budget. Are there any questions on the 2026 budget? All right. Can I take a motion to approve the 2026 budget? Christine,
second.
Mr. Chairman, second, all in favor? Aye. At this point, I'd like to close the Finance Committee.
Just a note before you go. No, we didn't. Okay, Tony, go ahead.
All right, Tony, thank you very much.
Sorry.
No, and can I have an approval first for the minutes of October 21st, 2024? Mr. Chairman? Second. Christine? In favor? Nobody objects? Aye. All right.
Thank you. And just a note, you know, when we do these budgets, we try to think about what projects we have in the pipeline, but you know, they ask us to project out to 2029. Having an idea of what those projects might look like in a few years is a little tough. So they're kind of arbitrary numbers, and I'm probably a little ambitious, but you know, we'll see how it goes. So,
Yeah.
So I did factor in the wind farms for next year's, so we'll see how that goes. I think we did like a 0.25%. We reduced it down because we remember we're negotiating and discussing how to close that without closing it. So, so those numbers are hopeful numbers.
We did that on the school board. You have to project.
Gotta hope.
All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn this meeting? Trent, second. Christine, second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is now closed. I would now like to open the CGFC Finance Committee meeting. And roll call, Christine is present. Mr. Chairman, Trent is present. Is there any old business you'd like to discuss? Old business. Can I have an approval of the minutes of October 21st, 2024? Christine first, second by the chairman, Trent. And we have the 2026 budget. Are there any questions on the 2026 budget? Can I get a motion to approve the 2026 budget? Christine, Trent, all in favor? Aye. Any other business you want to talk about? None.
Chairman.
I'd like to take a motion to close this meeting.
Oh, thank you.
Trent, Christine, all in favor? Aye. The CGFC Finance Committee meeting is now closed. I would now like to open up. Did I say the wrong one?
Clinton, no, you're good. Clinton Grant Facilitation Corporation. Yep.
The Clinton Grant Facilitation Corporation meeting. Roll call, Christine Peters, Trent Trahan, Joey Trombley, all here. And, okay, the minutes, okay, yeah, can I accept a motion to accept the minutes of October 21st? Christine, second by Trent. I'm in favor too. Motion carries. Old business, any discussion? No? Okay. Again, we have the 2026 budget. Is there any questions on that?
I think somebody explain others here.
I was just about to. So Clinton Grant Facilitation Corporation, as we're aware, is really merely a pass-through for, money. So it has no expenses, it has no revenue. So that's why everything is zero, but we still have to report it.
Can I have a motion to approve? Christine, second by Trent, all in favor? Aye. Any old business or any other business to discuss?
Aye.
Well, good. I'll take a motion to close this meeting. Christine, second by Trent, all in favor? Aye. And it's back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Joe, I just want to say outstanding job.
Nicely done.
You see the sweat? I feel like I've been on the treadmill right now.
Chairman, whenever you're ready to call the meeting to order.
Okay, I'll call the Clinton County Industrial Development Agency meeting to order for the 15th at 12:27. Waive the reading of the notice of the meeting as well as the minutes and ask for a motion to approve that. Joey, light meeting.
On the record.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Holly?
So we have a presentation, Chairman, by Golden Shovel today. As you might remember, we've contracted with Golden Shovel to do our marketing strategy. They have completed that marketing strategy, which is in your packets. So they're going to go through it with you today to highlight some of the important pieces of it. So get comfortable. They're going to be talking for a while. Let me just text Bethany here. She must have slipped away.
Oh, no, I am here.
Okay, there you are. There you are.
Yeah.
Well, Bethany,
Hi,
with that
guys.
being said, take it away.
All right. Well, hey, just so you know, because you do have this big strategy, when I do these presentations, I try not to completely bore you guys by going through everything that you're going to be reading. Just so you know, the full strategy is with our editor right now, and then it's going to be designed. So you're going to get a much prettier version, actually, if you've gotten kind of the raw text version in your packet. All right, give me a second here to be able to play around with Teams and share my screen. Hold on, guys. All right, can you see the screen that says marketing strategy?
Yes.
All right, perfect. I'm going to turn my camera off so you don't stare at the side of my head because I have two screens going. All right. So just a reminder of why it was important for us to do this project. Realistically, I don't know if anyone follows Golden Shovel as far as the different webinars that we host, but we hosted one last week where we had a site consultant who's reviewed over, his company's reviewed over 1,000 sites in the last 2 years. And one of the things that he was recommending to economic developers and community leaders in the room was the importance of making sure that you are clearly articulating your unique value proposition. because they look at so many sites, and if it's not sticky enough because it's not unique, they just don't remember the community. And so ultimately, that's what this marketing strategy comes down to, is we need to be able to conduct the research, interview stakeholders to be able to come up with what does that language look like and what proof points do we have that can back up that story to really make your unique value proposition clear. So with this project, that is the overarching goal that we're going to be talking about throughout. But in addition, of course, we're looking at what are some of the smaller wins that we can get along the way. Things like growth and visibility for digital engagement, including a 50% increase on LinkedIn. That's something we really want. Making sure that you're coming up consistently in AI search results. That's a new one that's really tricky because even people who are coming up really regularly in online searches just aren't anymore, because AI has completely changed how search results appear. And that's something that we're working on through this strategy and obviously through the website redesign too. But really it's about getting visibility and getting traction to the website and people to call Molly. So that way you have a measurable pipeline of qualified leads from US and international businesses that are evaluating expansion opportunities into Clinton County. And of course, we want to look at increasing community awareness for the IDA's role. So the process that we followed is really 3 steps. So step 1 is the stakeholder engagement, where we conducted a digital survey and one-on-one interviews. And I'm sure some people in the room participated in that. So thank you for those who did in sharing your time with us. We really valued that opportunity, and a lot of quotes that we were able to get are informing some of our recommendations. So that was very valuable. Step 2, obviously, was gathering additional data, testing out some value proposition messaging, and looking at community comparisons for what makes Clinton County unique, which we'll discuss that further later on. And then obviously step 3 was making sure that we were able to analyze that feedback and the research to develop a marketing SWOT analysis. So a little bit different than a traditional SWOT, because again, we're looking at what opportunities can we lean into in order to market and promote the community, really honing in on those target audiences and marketing tactics that we can use to reach them. So some of the key themes that really stood out from that stakeholder engagement and the research is really the strategic location and cross-border advantage. And that's nothing that you don't know, but what you have to remember is that site selectors, real estate consultants, and business leaders don't. So it's really important that we stress all these things here, right? Because it's about messaging and marketing to them. And that is your biggest strength, is your proximity to Montreal and position on the I-87 corridor is an important differentiator. And it's not just that location, it's also that we're able to combine that with the CBIG site and the industrial development opportunities that you have, right? Because location alone would not be enough. The point is that you have both. And so that's something that we really have to emphasize so that we demonstrate Clinton County is the best choice for companies involved in international trade and companies looking for ready sites and interstate access in general. The collaborative culture is something that really stood out from the stakeholder interviews. And that whole attitude of pulling in the same direction is something that we want to overemphasize, because like it or not, New York has a perception, and you're part of New York, right, of being bureaucratic. So it doesn't matter that you're not Manhattan. It doesn't matter that Manhattan is a very, very small area of the state. The reality is that that's what people read, and they're going to associate you with that if you don't counter that messaging. And so because of the fact that collaboration is so strong and so high in Clinton County, and that you do have people working together for a common goal, we want to make sure to overemphasize that through storytelling and obviously quotes from your business community, which we got some really golden ones from the stakeholder interviews that demonstrate that level of support. I have, just to give you an example, another one of our clients is Team California. So they represent this large parts of the entire state of California, and they deal with the same thing, right? It just happens to be that if you're in one of those states that's always on the news and a lot of times associated with bureaucracy, you have to go out of your way to change the narrative. So we're really excited that everyone we interviewed had so many positive things to say, because that gives us a lot of tools really to do that. So I thought that was really positive from that engagement. Your workforce strengths. There were some golden quotes that were shared by business leaders talking about how great the workforce is in Clinton County. People being reliable, dependable, people that don't just, come in and then go out, the revolving door. They're not seeing that so much. And that's a huge asset to the community. And again, something we really want to lean into with messaging. Again, from our work with site selectors throughout the country, one of the big things that we constantly hear is most communities don't have the workforce that the businesses represent need. So anytime that you have a strong workforce and you have that loyalty and you have the skills pipeline, we need to overemphasize that as well. The other part of that is making sure that we tell the story behind the data, because you have a lot of great workforce training assets that can be used to further develop that pipeline and that aren't necessarily just going to be reflected in the data point. So these are things that we're going to make sure are part of not just the website, but any marketing campaign on social media or digital ads or anything at all that you're doing. Because again, we're hearing directly from the source, that's what they care about. And that's what they need to be able to demonstrate to their clients when they're putting sites at the top of their list, is what are you doing to continue building your workforce? And also, the Next Move New York and the Fort Drum Soldiers, that's definitely something that's a unique asset to you as well. Because people that are leaving the military, being able to hire them locally is a great another way to demonstrate a talent pipeline that's being developed within the community. We list obviously the Institute for Advanced Manufacturing as well. Again, that's part of your story. It's part of your story, and it's something that businesses and site selectors are actively asking for. So those are really things that you should be very proud of. Quality of life, of course, you live there, and so it's awesome, right? But we want to demonstrate that as well. It's a beautiful place to live. People are proud to be there. And there's benefits and advantages of not having to be stuck in traffic and being close to nature, so you can have fun and do things with your family. So we want to obviously talk about that, but that's not the main message, obviously, because of the fact that it's really business attraction is what you're focused on. So when we talk about that, we're recommending discussing it in a way that resonates with business leaders, such as your employees will want to move here. Your management will want to bring their family here. This is a place where the president of your company is going to want to go when you relocate them. So that's the type of framing that we're recommending. We did obviously bring in here housing and childcare shortages, just to call to attention something that I'm sure you're familiar with, but it did come up a lot in stakeholder conversations. I know that there's work being done to address that, and in conversations with Molly, there's even some tools that you have at your disposal to assist in accelerating housing development, for example. But again, just wanted to make you aware that did come up frequently in conversation. Obviously, we don't want to market that, but just for your all right. So when we look at, again, that unique value proposition, right? What is that positioning statement that needs to be everywhere in all communication? It might be edited somewhat depending on the audience, but this really needs to be what we lean into. Our recommendation is Clinton County, global access, local advantage, which allows us obviously then to share proof points on the access and then proof points on the local advantage, things like collaborative environment. New York's Clinton County is where international companies land, US manufacturers grow, and businesses find global access without global costs. There are distinct cost advantages to doing business in Clinton County. We definitely want to lean into that as well. Molly, I don't know if you want to have any conversation around this, because it is important for us to really answer.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe if the board wants to just react, if you want to give your opinions on thought line and how they
Yeah.
came up with it.
Well, tagline obviously is very important, right? It's your unique selling proposition for the area.
Right.
What were some other options that you came up with? I know you kind of settled on this one. Were there other options you thought of too?
There were, and if you guys bear with me here, we can kind of go with some. We fleshed out quite a few and deleted ones that were not didn't seem to be supported, but some of the other ones we had were Clinton County connected to opportunity everywhere. Your next step, Clinton County, but again, that feels a little too generic. That doesn't tell me enough, right?
I
Business
agree.
business across borders. I liked this one a lot, and it could also be expanded upon, like Clinton County, business across borders. But you know, the reality is if you're also trying to recruit US companies that aren't doing business internationally, they may feel like it's not applying to them.
Yeah, because when we discussed it, you know, my thought was, you know, we have Schluter here, we have Norsk here, we have a lot of global businesses here.
Right.
And as much as we work with our Canadian partners more frequently, we're trying to attract more. So focusing on the more global rather than just the
Right.
the cross-border.
That makes sense. I mean, because if you added, and you probably don't want too long of a tagline, but if you added business across borders to the Clinton County, global access, local advantage, that'd probably be a little too much.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Okay. Yeah, all
Probably.
right.
But that doesn't mean that we can't use business across borders. Business across borders, for example, could be used when we're doing ads or social media posts that are geared towards Canadian companies.
Well, now when you have this tagline, you're gonna have some subheadings too, right?
Correct.
Okay. Can the business across borders be part of the subheading?
Yeah, we could definitely play around with that. Going back to this.
That'd be an advantage to do that.
Yeah, you could do even this.
I don't know if I don't know, I'm not sure if I'd put that first.
Could weave it into the sentence, right?
Yeah, that's somehow weed in, or maybe toward the end of it. Cause I love the beginning part. New York's Clinton County is where international companies land. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
US manufacturers grow. Like all that is wonderful. I didn't know if within that sentence, we want to add that. But it could be a Canadian company looking at this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say without.
Huh?
I wouldn't say without borders.
Business without borders. Don't say that.
Yeah, I would say across.
Oh,
Across.
you said without. Yeah,
You
yeah.
typed without. and I
Oh,
went,
yeah. Oh, okay. Business across borders.
Is where you can conduct.
I don't know how you build on, I don't know how you
Build
build
it.
on that. Maybe you want to build on that a little bit. The
I
sentence,
like
and
that
again,
idea.
It's almost when I think about business across borders and I think of it within a larger context, for me, I'm almost wondering if it's not just about the border, the physical land border, but also borders speak to boundaries, right? So it's almost like business across borders without the boundaries that are put in place by bureaucracy and long permitting times and lots of red tape and high costs.
right.
So
So
if
is
I
there
were
a
going
way-
to build on it, I would think about how we tie those things in as an optional subject.
Yeah, like you have, like the first sentence is wonderful.
Mhm.
If the second
Yeah.
one, if we can expand on business across borders, kind of what you just shared with us.
Yeah.
Now, I'll leave that up to you, but but I think we
That's
need
good
to expand
feedback.
on that.
That's good feedback.
Yeah.
I like the tagline though. I think that's a
I
good
think that
tagline.
Yeah.
one's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to make a note here. I wish I could give you all kinds of brilliant ideas immediately on the fly, but I'm actually going to share all these notes with our director of content.
No,
That way
absolutely.
his brilliance can come back to you. But no, I like that. And the reality is that we can do so much with the global access local advantage, which is why I like it, right? Because if say you were to visualize this almost as if I were to write an article or have our team write an article, we could have this be the positioning statement. An entire article could be talking about the local advantage. And it could be
Sure.
going into the available sites, the fast permitting times, the incentives that are available, right? There could be a huge list of what those advantages look like, each of which could also be expanded upon in its own article. And when you look at that way, think of it like a pillar. Each one of those is broken down into smaller social media posts.
Right.
So everything comes together, right, to tell that exact same story. And then the same thing with global access, because obviously we want to talk about the proximity to Canada, but it's not just about the proximity to Canada. You do have other international companies that are very successful in Clinton County. And so we can talk about how they're using your infrastructure assets in order to get their product out to the world or bring in their talent locally, things like that. It's a lot we can do. All right, go back to slideshow mode here. Okay, and then what I wanted to call out to you guys, so when you look at the full strategy, and again, I would love for you to see it after our editor's done and it's designed, but there are sections for each of your target audiences, because not only do we need to say, here's our general unique value proposition, but here's what matters to these different industries that we need to make sure we're also including when we're communicating to them. Right. So when we look at international companies and supply chain partners, that's an obvious win for you guys. We want to talk about Clinton County being the most effective, cost-effective U.S. gateway. That's one of the ways that we can expand upon that. And we can obviously bring in statistics as far as operating costs when compared to some of the more high-cost vendors. Now, obviously, we're all aware that if you dive into the data, there's certain data points that can be made for other communities as well, but our job is to best position you. So we need to compare you to more higher cost areas.
Should we tie on I-87, yeah, 60 minutes from Montreal, that were the main corridor to New York? Should we tie that in?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that is in more of the full strategy, but let me make a note.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys don't mind seeing it in this form, I'll just keep it like this so I can type notes as we go.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
Okay, perfect. All right, so obviously we want to go ahead and we want to mention the infrastructure assets here, of course. I did, instead of listing out who we compare you here to here, I do want to get the board's feedback because again, we want to position you as the low cost compared to other areas. I'd like to have these conversations in person because I know that sometimes this can be political, right? Like if there are certain communities that you view as sister communities or you have really good relationships with their leadership, we don't want to necessarily compare you to them, right? Because that might cause tension or problems for you. So are there places that you feel more comfortable comparing yourselves to from a cost advantage perspective?
Thoughts?
If everyone's fair game, that works for us. We can just make those recommendations.
Michael?
We're better reactors.
Do you think that there are any like
Uh,
counties that we should not compare ourselves to?
Well, yeah,
Or
obviously, we're not, the urban area, so.
Right.
I think our niche is like the tagline says.
Yeah.
We're local, but we punch above our weight.
Yeah.
But we're not, we don't have Onondagas,
Right.
or,
Population.
their chip manufacturing
Micron.
center, Micron. We don't have the population of Westchester South. We're kind of, I don't like, hope no one's listening, but I think we're better than our normal comparables because of our strategic advantages.
Mhm.
I don't know how that works, but we can't compare ourselves with the biggies. We're not a big.
Yeah.
We're a charming little.
Yeah.
Well,
Comparing yourself to the biggies though is always smart in the sense of, yes, we're small, but because of that, you're also paying less and it's easier to get around.
Do we end up comparing ourselves against Burlington all the time?
Mm,
We do, but I honestly think there's a cultural difference between us and
Oh,
Burlington. You know,
That's an understatement.
the people are not the same. They're wonderful. I'm not
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
pick on them, but they're different. We're
Sure.
different than them. How's that?
Would it be okay
Um,
to compare you to Burlington though, or would that cause challenges regionally?
I think that causes some challenges regionally.
I can tell you this, we've never fought the battle of fighting with Burlington. I mean, both
No.
have an airport.
Mhm.
But we don't market against them. We work for ourselves and extol our virtues, but we've never put Burlington down.
No?
Okay.
In my tenure here. I can say this, you think New York State's got a regulatory red tape for businesses? Vermont's 10 times worse.
The worst.
The state of Vermont is almost impossible to, I shouldn't say almost impossible, but extremely difficult to construct a business, in the state of Vermont.
So,
So that's a possibility.
yeah, so you're saying basically, if I'm hearing correctly, and I want to get this right, because I don't want to cause any issues, you know, for anyone politically or regionally. So are you saying that you'd be more comfortable comparing to the state of Vermont holistically than referencing Burlington specifically?
I don't know if we even want to do that battle. Are we really in competition with them?
No, that's a good point, Joey. I think people who go to Vermont go there for a particular reason.
Right. I don't think Burlington, we want to get a battle with them. Why?
When, Bethany, when you say compare ourselves, can you use it in a context? Like, how would you,
Is it
How-
because you want to
what
give
is-
somebody context?
yeah, it's like,
For
what
us?
are you saying? Like, are you saying to a site selector, we want you to choose Clinton County versus Denver, Colorado? Is that what you're saying?
So realistically, when everyone is comfortable doing it, the best choice is to compare yourself to what's happening within the region. So I would not compare yourself to someone as far away as Denver, right? You need to compare yourself to someone that's within a day's drive time, at least, right? Within 8 hours, no more.
Okay,
And what you're doing is you're comparing things like, if you have the data, you're comparing things like how fast can you get permits issued compared to them? What are your tax rates compared to them? What is the cost of doing business? What are your, if it's a different state, if you have electricity rate advantages, for example, you want to compare that, especially when you're talking about manufacturing that has a high electricity usage, because that's a big impact on their bottom line. If you talk about price per square footage, a lot of times we'll do that with communities if there's a very clear differentiator. For example, if your industrial sites are, say, $5 less a square foot than one of your community within 8 hours of you, we want to mention that, right? And the reason I say within a drive time is because if a site consultant is doing a map and they're like, okay, usually my business needs to be within a radius, right? And they draw that circle. And so you need to consider who's in that radius.
I would think our battle is within the state. If somebody wants to come to New York State, they're gonna look at Western New York. They're gonna look at Southern New York.
Also synergies, like I know you're probably aware of the big project in Syracuse, Onondaga County. But, you know, but their executive has said, listen, this is so big. There's gonna be people in Clinton County who are gonna be delivering goods and services to the
Right.
Micron project.
Right.
So
Right.
there's gotta be some synergies as well.
Right, yeah. No, I don't dispute that. I'm just saying that I think our if there's any battle, it's within the state.
Mhm.
If somebody wants to come to New York, they're gonna pick,
Yeah.
Part of the
Back to the original question.
or we just
I
focus on our strengths and.
Yeah. I don't think that Burlington,
I don't,
think that's something we want to get into, but that's my.
I'm with you on that one. Personally,
I just offered it up as
well, it's a great conversation.
because there's always banter back and
Yeah.
forth. You know, it dates back to the IBM plan. And, you know, there's still people that think about that. So, can't just hide from that. But I absolutely agree that, culturally, we're in different worlds.
Mhm. Yeah, so this might be something that requires a little bit more debate to really think it through. And again, just to make sure I'm positioning it correctly for you, just consider your target audience. So this is a site consultant who's looking at a map and they're evaluating communities within a radius. And if there is an advantage for Clinton County, that is a cost advantage. So cost advantages obviously have to be either it physically costs less or the speed to business is fast enough that you've reduced your construction time, for example, like fast permitting.
Is it in?
That's a good point, bring that up.
But we do have two municipalities within the county that have municipal electric rates, which are, extremely beneficial to a developer. I don't know if that's in there somewhere.
Well, and also, I mean, just the NYSEG rates in Clinton County are cheaper than some of the other areas of the state. They are
Yeah, but still high.
high, but not as high as what, Erie County might be facing. So, I mean, I hear what you guys are saying, but I think there does come a point where we have to say to a site selector, yeah, we're better than them. So pick us,
But I wonder if, kind of both hit on that, do we just really pound our strength? Because the site selector is gonna be looking at other areas.
Mhm.
They can come to their own conclusion. We don't need to tear down anybody. We just pull our strengths out and make us the place they wanna go. Like, I'm not a big fan of tearing your
Right,
competition down.
Yeah.
Show your strength.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what we should be focusing on. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, and holistically, that's exactly what this strategy does, is focus on your strengths. All I'm pointing out is that if we're going to say as a messaging, if you see my screen, to international companies and supply chain partners that Clinton County is the most cost effective, I would like to be able to have a couple data points that speak to them. And if it sounds like the lower electric rates could be one of those.
I mean,
Yeah.
the counties, tax rates are difficult because they change within each municipality within the county.
Yeah.
But, the county tax rate itself, Clinton County proper is lower than I think lowest in the entire state or ninth lowest in the entire state. So, but you gotta overlay that with town tax, and taxes. So that changes the dynamic, but you can say county tax rate is.
Sure.
I think it does this year. It was low under my leadership.
yeah, to get it.
Yeah, too.
It was coming.
I'm used to it.
John's down there smiling, I'm like, I
There we go. And seriously, we're low. I mean, our independent auditors tell us that every year. Comparison to the entire region, we're low.
Okay. Okay, so that could be one. What about with your sites? Because I know that there's a lot that can be done with incentives and different programs to make them even more affordable. Do you have any thoughts on that, Molly, on how you might frame that as a proof point?
I think that the IDA has taken a direction where we've been very creative in making new incentives that my counterparts have maybe not. I think that we've emerged as a leader on the IDA front on that.
Sure.
I just got asked to present at the state conference on how to run an IDA, so I think we're doing something right.
Sure.
So I think that our incentives are more creative than others, perhaps.
Okay.
Did you talk about logistics? I think we're big in logistics. Like somebody sets up here, they can get their goods to New York, go west. They can use our airport and go wherever the frick they want. So, there's a lot, once you're here, you're stuck here. The logistics out of Clinton County are outstanding. East, west, north, south, domestic, international, it's all covered.
Yeah, and let me skip ahead here. There is a section here, and again, the full strategy goes into this a lot with the PowerPoint. I try not to have too much in here for you guys. But there is a whole section on distributors, suppliers, and vendors. And I believe all those points are listed in there, but let me just type in everything that you said real quick too. And
The airport has both general aviation
Like, you
and,
bring up a good point. I just wanna,
say that again, John?
you bring up, don't worry. I won't be so kind next week. And as I'm listening and reading this, and I'm not a marketing major, I'm an accounting major, okay? But I think what we need to make sure is, in Mike's point, is what is the real advantage? You know, when we try to sell anything, we always seem to put the nuts and bolts about, you know, I think of like banking, right? You know, it's what I'm, our home equities, we always sell the nuts and bolts of the product, when in fact, we should be selling what it does for the end user. And I think that we have a lot of nuts and bolts in this, but not necessarily enough of what it does for the end user. So, and to Mike's point, with the I-87, you know, easy access to major markets in New York City and Quebec, right?
Yeah, and it's, and
And I think that's
Yeah.
the piece that we need to make sure we still have for these.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, we're better than Vermont, we don't have to put it in there, but we're better than Vermont, but, you know, because we don't have all the regulation to jump through, it's tough, but it's not as tough as it is there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the advantage that I think we need to make sure.
The the advantage here is we've got regulation. It's not,
Well, my point-
but we find a way to solve the regulation.
Right.
They're not roadblocks.
And that's what we need to really point out is why that's an advantage, not just the nuts and bolts of it, but why that's an advantage to the end user.
right.
Quicker approval of a project, right? I
Right.
mean, that's, you know, we have a small IDA. We can get things done pretty damn quick if we need to, you know, and that's the thing that I think that is more important here is what's the advantage to the end user.
While you're, I mean, I love when we have these conversations because synergy takes place, right?
Mhm.
Questions like if you, what you're saying, if you just add the first word, imagine access to I-87 to multiple markets.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine what you want the user, the person looking at this, you want them to go in their mind and I think do what you're trying to do is to
Right.
picture the benefit of these nuts and bolts. So why don't we throw the word imagine? And you could have a sheet like this and imagine A, imagine B, what would this do for you? You lead by asking questions. Imagine, what would this do for your business? And let them come up, because they'll come up with the answers. But when they come up with the answers, it's the right answer because it's their answer.
Right.
So let's lead them by asking those questions. It's a thought.
No, I actually love that. And one of the things that our team is recommending with this is different with the social media and ad strategy, is doing carousel posts. I don't know if you guys have seen these, but basically if you're looking at a static image, you have to swipe to keep answering the question, right? So I already have that kind of visualized in my head. Imagine, then you get to ask these different questions. People keep swiping. The reason they're recommending that, by the way, is just because the algorithms have changed and that's what's really coming to the top of your feed and your search. And that's just data from behind the scenes. But I can absolutely see that playing into the campaign. That's a really good point. In regards to demonstrating what it does for their businesses, that is spot on. That is exactly what we want to do. The information that we're presenting to you now is for your consideration as far as these just come the bullet points we want to talk about. But when we actually frame it, you're absolutely right. And we use storytelling as much as possible. We highly recommend that because it's also about if we can demonstrate that another business has leveraged the access, the connectivity, the whatever it is, right, for the benefit of their company, it helps people to start envisioning how that could be done by theirs. And that's why we really appreciate your business leaders taking the time to speak with us as well. because it allows us to get some quotes that we can use for that storytelling. Yeah, really good
Bethany,
conversation.
Yeah, and I hate to stifle dialogue at all, but we probably should try to wrap this up because we do have other business that we have to get to.
Of course, and I told you I wasn't going to speak that long. Well, I threw that out the window. But anyway, if you keep going into the strategy, you guys, you're going to see talking points for everyone. And this type of feedback is really helpful because maybe there are some things that we missed that we need to cover. So I did want to demonstrate that we do have kind of a calendar of activities that you're going to see in here. And I talked about storytelling and getting those messages out there. And you can see how we're doing things like that every single month. So that's going to be really important. And then just to give you guys some ideas of what's being worked on right now. So developing assets, obviously we're working with G and Viewpoint Production to gather and refine some of those things. We are in the process of enhancing and improving your online presence. So the website is being designed, content is being written for it as we speak, and all of your feedback today will definitely take into account with those activities. And then, of course, building social media awareness and actively engaging audiences. That's going to really kick off once the new website is live. Creating the content to tell those stories. Again, we will definitely appreciate the feedback, making sure that we're demonstrating through that storytelling the actual real life benefit for folks rather than just the facts associated with it. Implementing that paid digital campaign so we can try to get more people through the site to see your message. And then, of course, we've made recommendations for hosting events as well, how to capture leads, and then measuring results. That's what it all comes down to. So that's really our process. And Molly, I know you said you put this in the packet, but I want to make some edits after everyone's feedback today. So maybe for the next meeting, you can include the revised version.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. Moving on.
Yeah. Any, unless we have any other questions or comments.
We've done a lot of these over the last 20 years or so. Well, not these, but this is a sharp turn.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a paintbrush. It's about as professional as a work product as I've seen.
And I mean, they have been very, very thorough
Yeah.
and they stick to
Amazing.
deadlines and they make me stick to,
That's good.
you know, it's good. They're very, very, focused on the end product.
Well, it sounds like
Product is
she understands where we are.
Yeah.
It's almost.
They've done a lot of research,
Good product.
Great. Okay, Joey, treasury report?
You're up.
Yes, okay. So do you want me to go to this part first?
The treasurer's report first. Yep,
This?
yep.
Okay. All right. So January to September 25, we have,
You can just use that.
we don't have to go this?
No.
You just read this off. Yeah.
Okay. I got that too. Okay. So the balance sheet, the account balance as of September 30th, 2025 is $99,880.51. In second, we have $1,793,836.67 in the sweep account. The due to Clinton County is an amount improperly remitted to the organization by Nexamp for the pilot payment and will be properly transferred to the Clinton County or to the county the week ending October 10th. Income statement. The income statement shows the expenses that were approved and paid during the month of September on a cash basis. Clinton County Treasurer admin fee was $13,000. Clinton County Treasurer pilot payment was $5,000. CPL Architects partial billing was $2,442.75. Sikich LLP software license is $2,280. Credit card payment, mortgage expense,
Meeting
a
expense.
meeting, it was like I'm in the real estate business, like mortgage thing. It's $417.52. The bank charge sweep fee is $10. So we had total expenses of $23,150.27. And that is my report.
Chairman, I move to accept the finance report.
Okay, can I get a second?
I'll second that.
John? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. Finance committee.
The finance committee met earlier, this afternoon, and
You're
we're
recommending
now recommending we follow finance committee's recommendations. Is that right?
to approve the budget.
To approve the budget?
Yep.
Thank you very much.
And to post the same to Paris.
And post the same to Paris. Thank you, Michael. I just want to see if you're paying attention. Good job.
And, with,
So that's the report. So,
I'm
yep,
trying to decide whether I need to approve.
nope, you,
Do under action.
yep, do it under act, you do it under, so he's just making his report. The committee recommended we approve the budget and post it to Ferris. So now we move on to old business, which there is not, Sharon.
So we can approve the,
Yes, now.
so, can I get a motion to approve the post of budget for 2026 to Paris and the Clinton County Government Center? Christine, second, John. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Finally, we get around.
Yes.
ALF development.
Thank you for your patience.
You guys could have had a chicken sandwich at least.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Got some nuggets there too, if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really.
I know that we handed out these last time. I don't know if there's anyone new here, but the second page, I show some interior photos of our last project we finished last year, just to give you an idea of the
Thank you.
quality of, our interior work as well. It's easy to see on the outside, but not everyone gets to see the inside.
I just put these up just to kind of give everybody a reminder, refresher of kind of what we're proposing for the outside elevations here for our project. But before we start though, I've sat through a number of those, I don't want to say consulting things over the years with different municipalities. And I want to say kudos to you. It sounds like you actually picked somebody who's delivering some good information, somebody who's sitting outside and kind of just seeing this stuff for the first time. We've sat through some of these meetings and people speak for hours at a time and they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and I don't think they've gotten any value out of that. So anyway, I just want to say kudos to you.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah.
Thank you.
But picking up on also some comments that the Golden Shovels people talked about housing deficiencies in our area. This project is obviously not a huge project, but if you want to bring in qualified managers or somewhere, to our area, they're going to need a place to live. We rent a number of units in the city. These will be some of our more, I won't say upscale, but they'll be nicer units. So obviously, if we want to continue to attract talent to the area, you want to have housing for that talent. So I don't know if any of you guys have driven by. We're still continuing on the first 2 units over there. They're pretty much getting wrapped up, and we've had a lot of positive comments from the neighbors and other people in the community. So, but yeah, so that's where things are at now. We're going to finish the first 2 units, and after that, we're going to wait and see what happens there. So we are proposing the additional 3 duplex buildings. This is the existing duplex. We're proposing 3 more duplexes. As we said last time, we've gone through planning board approval, city approvals. We are all approved, shovel ready, and looking to move forward.
So the public hearing, Molly?
Yes. So this is, you're gonna be approving a resolution, to hold a public hearing. This is not approving the project yet. This is the public hearing to, vet to the public what benefits we are providing to the company. And they're going under one of our now standardized UTEPs for housing.
No, I've asked all my questions. Yeah. Good, answered them all correctly.
I don't have any questions, but, you know, I was thinking in looking at today's agenda, you know, the other study we have, housing
Right.
study.
Yeah.
You know, of all the projects that were laid out in those, they're all big development projects and none of them cash flow, right?
Right.
And, you know, and in my business, I'm with Arrowhead and, you know, we do these every day, all day, like bread and butter to us, right? And these projects cash flow, right? Or obviously we wouldn't do them. And I think that there's more, we need to put a bit more emphasis in that Coin study on how do we get those big projects to smaller projects? Because the infrastructure, if you don't have infrastructure throughout the development, it has to be put in, it's expensive, where you've got a couple of streets already infrastructure there, you're putting in 3 more units on these types of things. I'm just using this because it's, you know, it's on the board. I think there's more emphasis to be put on more smaller units.
Yeah.
Than 4 big, large, you know, projects or whatever, you know, over the next 5 years. Just my 2 cents on
Good point.
that study. So,
We've always geared ourselves to smaller developments, 4, 6, 8 units. We've looked at a couple bigger projects, but, we've passed them up. That's not an interest to us. We like these smaller infill projects. That's kind of been our unique market. We know a lot of our tenants by name, and we'll continue hopefully to build those, but, we like the smaller scale of these projects also. We rent some similar units in the west end of town, and we do have some people who work at Schluter Management, who work for, so we have yes, so we've been able to attract those people to some of our other units as well.
Excellent.
May I get a motion? Thank you very much.
Yep.
I think John kind of put it where we think. We think. Happy that you're our first realtor / project developer that has come and managed the benefits that we had. So hopefully this public hearing works out the way we think it should.
To that point, Chairman, like, you're working with your neighbors, you got city approvals, which we're not hearing any we're not anticipating any curveballs at a public hearing.
Sure.
But we have variance board involved in public access and we didn't have any neighbors.
No neighbors only.
And your neighbor with your sewer line, discussion,
Yeah, that's done deal. I mean, we haven't done any of the work yet, but that'll be, you know, a settled matter. Yeah, yeah, we have a signed easement as of now, actually, with them. So, no, we've gone through, I mean, on other projects, we have had some pushback from neighbors, so, and we've done our best, to obviously, accommodate people, but,
well, when these are built, you know, and I know these neighbors are supportive, but wouldn't, I mean, you're not building shacks. I mean, would this benefit the area? Wouldn't you think that they would think that this would benefit the area?
yeah, and that's what they've told us. I mean, I know the property, I've heard that comment actually from the neighbor on this side here. We've done some other smaller developments in the city, and I think kind of what happens sometimes is you have a developer or somebody come in and do a nice job, and then it kind of, I don't want to say it ripples down to the other neighbors, but they say, okay, look, we've got a really nice property here. We should fix up our property, or now we can, you know, it kind of starts, I think, grow in the neighborhood a little bit. Because definitely the property to the west is, you know, it's a little bit, I think we're gonna plan ahead here and let it grow and, you know, block them out a little bit, so to speak, but,
Hopefully motivates.
yeah, exactly, so.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let us know if you need anything else
great.
from us and.
When is the public hearing?
We haven't scheduled it yet. You had to approve it before I can schedule it.
So, may I get a resolution to approve, to authorize the executive director of the County of Clinton Industrial Development Agency to hold a public hearing regarding the proposed project to be undertaken for the benefit of KLM Development LLC.
So moved, Chairman.
Second.
Joey? Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Trent Tran, yes. Dave Hoover is excused. Mike Zerlo.
Yes.
Joey Tremblay.
Yes.
Mark Letta's excused. John Van Etten
Yes.
and Christine Peters.
Yes.
Motion carried. So we would, I just have to schedule the public hearing and
We'll look to do that before the next IDA meeting. So I'll communicate just like I did last time.
Perfect. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
So we do have Alex Tranmer on the call. She presented last time about the next steps for the housing study. I emailed that to you. It's in your packet. To do today is decide, do we want to do any of these next steps, all, some? I think we're in my talks with Alex, and working with other communities. They definitely recommend at least the first one. And then potentially the third one in conjunction with that. As far as, my opinion, reviewing the zoning and housing market opportunities, I think is a second. I think it's pretty consistent across Clinton County that everybody recognizes we have a housing challenge. There are communities already there, particularly the town of Plattsburgh, that are taking a lot of steps to create more housing. I don't think that's necessarily something we need to worry about right this minute. That'd be my opinion. And again, the sensitivity analysis, again, I think would be secondary to what we need to do. So, but those are my thoughts, but as the board, maybe you don't want to do any of them, but we did say we wanted to make sure this study didn't just sit on a shelf, right? We want to take action and we want to create opportunities for more smaller and bigger developers that want to develop housing here. So, Alex, I don't know if you have any just closing remarks.
No, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Perfect.
Alex, if it's
take it
in
from
here,
here.
I apologize. Oh, it's in here. Never mind.
The cost.
Page.
I found the most important part.
The cost.
The
Yeah.
cost. And I'm assuming this is an a la carte. You could come around and
Yeah.
pick different numbers and combine those choices.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, can you explain again? I apologize. I'm sure you did it last time you spoke, but what does the extended financial feasibility analysis give us beyond what we previously talked about, which was kind of a lot of negativity because a lot of these bigger projects don't cash flow. So what would be included in number one that we don't already know? Examples.
So there were numerous other sites for potential housing that we had considered for that analysis. And so there are some additional ones either in our existing pipeline, or we could open it up and look at others as well. So we could help identify, what I imagine would probably be a gap, but in terms of being able to go for funding or financing or, whatever the developer needs to make the case for, that's where the site-specific financial feasibility can potentially be used. I think even since the study's completed, there's been some interest in some additional sites and privately owned sites wanting a similar analysis. So that's what we could do for that one.
If you overheard my colleague and during our last discussion, is there a possibility we could look at new smaller type projects, duplex complexes as opposed to, larger, 30 and 40 housing unit type things?
Yeah, so the use really depends on one, the sort of depending on how involved the current owner or developer is of the site. And then the size of the site, based on the market analysis, I think there's certainly room to look at those more duplex, triplex, the smaller in scale, and make sure that that's a right fit for the community. So we could certainly take that into consideration when we're building out the physical concepts.
Ollie, your recommendation was what?
I would go with 1, 3, but Alex, maybe you could break down, because there's quite a gap.
Well, just for the
as far as
record,
the number
I've got
three.
1 and 3 circles.
Look at that, Michael. So can you break down a little bit where the difference in cost would be? Because, 7,500 to 30,000 is a range. So maybe you could break down the scope a little bit.
Yeah, for 3 specifically, the strategy.
Yeah.
Yep. So, we've got the market data. Depending on what you want to, how far down the road you want to go on engagement, I think that impacts that price quite a bit. So it sounds like there's certainly been ongoing conversations with developers of varying sizes. So I do think we'd want to pull together at least maybe one developer roundtable or have some conversations to understand a bit more the Clinton County specific barriers or challenges that they're facing. So engagement with the private sector and regional planners, I'd say too, or anyone involved in the housing sphere, that's going to impact that price. And then in terms of how deep in detail for some of the strategies we'd want to get. So, there could be 2 or 3 strategies that we identify right off the bat, just from knowing Clinton County, that these are the things that we know that we probably need to dig more into. That might be a case, on the mid to lower end of that range. And then on the higher end would be sort of a full scale housing strategy. Building off, of course, the regional work that has been done with like Champlain Lake George Regional Planning Board, but tailoring it all to Clinton County communities. And those we would include in the strategy part, not just the roles of Clinton County, but also where other partners fit into it, potential resources, potential funding sources, things like that to bolster the implementation part of that strategy.
So, Chairman, if I might make a recommendation, I would say that the board should give a kind of a voice vote on yes or no to each of the proposals, and then we would want to identify how much we're willing to spend in each of those categories,
Well,
if that.
well, it kind of makes sense. But for number 3, before I vote yes, and I'm supportive of 1 and 3. But 1, the delta is okay there in my mind. So to your point, yes, I would do what you suggested on 1. On 3, I know we just heard an answer, but I would like to see something, maybe Camoin could send something to you that you could send to us that says, here's what you get for $7,500. Here's what you get for $30,000. So it's kind of like an a la carte menu, and it may end up being 30,000, but
Right.
I just don't, I'm not comfortable. I'm not knowing what's included in the 30,000 yet. On number 1, I'm prepared to say yes to 25,000. But if I can start
Yep.
with your,
Please, thank you.
but on number 3, which I'm in favor of, I'm not in favor of 2 and 4 at this point. And number 3, I kind of want to know what I'm going to get for each level of price.
So the first one we got, they were just identifying areas.
It's extended financial feasibility, so finding
No,
other.
I know, but but the first study that we got
Yeah.
back was picking the spots.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is extending on this now. That
Well, I
was
think, didn't we tell them a couple spots to look at in the first one?
They identified like 30 different sites. And from there, we kind of worked together to pare down what we thought made sense and made sure it was equitable throughout the county and not centered on one township.
Okay.
So there are lots of other sites out there. We have, and remember, one of the qualifying factors is that it had to be for sale, because if it's not for sale, how are you supposed to know it?
right.
We have had developers call and said, hey, why didn't you look at my site? And we said, well, you don't have it for sale. Like Don Dooley called and said, I have this property. Why didn't you guys identify that? And we said, well, because you don't have listed. So, you know, so we have had people raise their hand that would be able to be involved in this extended analysis.
So if we were to go with number one, extended financial feasibility study analysis, what will that give us?
I think it gives us more sites that might speak to John's point that aren't quite as large scale as the sites that we identified before,
Right?
and give us a more variety.
But-
Am I right in saying that, Alex?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, we can work, we used a certain set of criteria last time, and so we can adapt that criteria and understanding that there's other interest out there other than just for sale properties. Like we could certainly work with those developers.
Okay, so I'm just trying to understand this. So if a Don Dooley comes, says, I have this property, we can't look at him because he wasn't part of this study?
No, we
Do
can
we need-
absolutely,
We would.
Yeah.
We would.
No, what Joey's saying is because Don wasn't in the original one.
Right.
We're not prohibited in any way by
No, no,
working
no.
with them.
No,
Right.
we
no,
should.
no.
Right.
We're just not letting, you know, it's just not in a document that everybody's seen.
Right, no, I understand that, but if Don Dooley came, just because he's one that came to us, and I'm still trying to understand, what do we gain by the financial feasibility study? Is it just try to come out with more properties that would benefit, that we could do this with?
So that would
Is
be
that-
the
is that-
first.
Yeah, go ahead, I'm just trying to understand, so thank you.
So that would be the first part of it, would be to identify the additional study locations, and that would be something that we'd finalize with you for the 25,000 is set a number of properties. I believe in the last one, we did between 3 and 5, so we'd probably do a similar set of sites. Go through a process of identifying, you know, based on the other ones that we looked at, understanding the priorities that you've got on those smaller sites, duplexes, triplexes, those types of properties. Put a certain set of criteria around what properties we might want to look at. Work with the developer or the current owner to understand if they've got a vision in mind for that site. We would build out a concept for it based on the market analysis, make sure that the developer is okay with that scenario, and then work on the financial feasibility for that site. So you'd end up with a pro forma for the site that estimates the gap financing needed in order to make that project a viable project for the developer.
So, you know, this is the downside of me. Always think of the negative. If the other sites didn't cash flow, why would a new site cash flow, right?
Could it be a smaller project?
Are
Like,
you looking at smaller
But-
projects, right?
Right, but the point though is that
So I think-
I guess my point wasn't so much, it is smaller project, but more specific to something like this, where, you know, how do we get those people to the table to say, hey, listen, we've got some incentive here for you. You know, we've done the study. We need a lot of these, right? We need what, 2,000 doors in the next
Yep.
5 years, okay? So if you're gonna do that, it's great. Listen, if you can get a big project and, you know, and get the gap, you know, pieces that you need to make it work, that's wonderful. But to me, if a project doesn't, you know, these big ones don't cash flow and it's 300 houses just because it's 150, I don't think that's gonna be any better. Okay, just my opinion. But my point was to the Fords, you know, they've got, how many of these can we get out there and get going with, right? And how can we help them get that going? You know, like a Don Dooley, right? Don can build those. on his
Yeah,
own.
I agree.
Right.
It's two parts for me, John. So when I think about the cash flow of the ones that we've identified and how that's problematic, it gives me leverage. And remember, we're hiring an economic development specialist, I think we're calling it, for my office in Clinton County, of which 15% unemployed belongs to the IDA. Their job is to help us find, these studies give the leverage to get the money needed from the government to get these projects done, because the only way this is going to get done is with public-private partnerships, right? Has to.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that.
Right.
Okay. If we can take the sites that we have and say, okay, you know, here's what we got. Let's work on those first. I'm almost apt to go right to 3 and
Okay.
skip 1. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yep.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't identify some more sites if they're out there, you know, which, okay, but to go the full gamut of 25,000 to have somebody identify the sites. Listen, when you start this thing, you know, like newly, they'll crawl out of the woodwork, these people, okay? They want to build units, right? Because it's money to them.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
I just think that we need the strategy piece now as to how do we get it?
Okay.
We got some stuff. How do we get it? So your person knows which direction to go. Not that we shouldn't get some more. sites.
So
I'm all good with the sites.
you're suggesting we just focus on three for right now and
For now.
then move on to other stuff.
Is number, Alex, is number one always an option? Like, we don't have, is our contract ongoing such that we could re-engage for a number one in a year?
Yeah, I mean, we're not going anywhere.
Okay, then I
And
agree.
I'm not going anywhere.
Dan.
I guess
We're all stuck.
I guess I'm
I'm stuck
not.
for a year.
So I think if I'm hearing the board, we're very comfortable with three. We want to see some action and strategy proposed.
Yes.
What we'd like her to do is break down each facet of that so that we know our total.
Yes.
That might drive the.
And it doesn't hurt for her to put some thought into
One.
how do we get the smaller ones. to the
Right.
table, Right?
Right.
Because those are, to me, they're just as important. They're gonna be as, over the next 5 years. You know, you could have a couple of these every month. That'd be wonderful.
Oh,
Great.
hate it when I agree with the Matt.
Well, and I think actually the strategies and the action plan, like, will kind of tie into the feasibility analysis later, because then you have a plan.
Yeah.
And then you can target better.
All right, so Alex, we're good on that. We're gonna focus on three and just get a slightly better breakdown of costs.
Yep, and so let me just repeat back to you so I make sure I got it. So number 3, strategy, give the breakdown of what the more granular breakdown of the budget with the added detail from some of the conversation today that we know it's going to be a priority for the smaller scale style developments throughout the county. And if it's possible, looking at the budget and things, is it of interest to identify additional sites that would fit the criteria for the small scale developments, not go down the road of the financial feasibility, but just look at where those developments might be a fit? Is that right?
Yeah, I think that is exactly correct. Yeah,
Okay,
great. All right, thanks,
Thank
Alex.
Thank you.
no problem. I'll be in touch. Bye.
All right, thanks.
These were really two good presentations. Yeah. And I think that
Yeah,
that's a
good
stuff for the
choices.
future. And hopefully the people from KLM share our thinking.
Yes, agreed.
You got, you know, we have some good developers out there, like,
Mhm.
you know, these guys. that-
Is that Kenny Musso?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that they just need some incentive.
Right.
You know, and even from, you know, I don't know what we can do, but even like some of the garbage that's out there that, you know,
Brownfields.
that people buy up and invest some money into, can we incentivize some of that too? I mean,
Yeah, we can incentivize the
But that's-
improvements on the bill.
Kind of, you know, that's kind of the
Yeah.
way I look at this thing.
And it's, you know, there are studies, it's gonna hurt, but there are studies showing that younger millennials are not as interested in buying homes because they got themselves into trouble buying homes in COVID because they were stupid low interest rates and they're like, oh, I have to fix a roof. You mean, they didn't plan for any of that?
Right.
So there are a lot of millennials offloading, houses and saying, I just wanna
We
rent.
need them.
I just wanna rent. Because they can't deal with younger millennials are weird beasts and the ones coming behind them are even strangers. So it's just, it's a reality and that their priorities have changed. You know, they like to travel, they want to do all these things. So, you know, from the IDA's perspective, we want to see more apartment units like this because we cannot benefit single family homes.
Right.
So,
I'm still stuck on number one, and I'm glad she's off. I'll share my stupidity, or I'm gonna sound stupid. It's like, why can't we just get word out there that we want to work with developers? Who has property that wants to be developed? Why can't we do that? I only spend $25,000 for somebody to tell me
good
that.
point.
I had a conversation at a basketball game and Jimmy Landville's like, I have property if you want to
That's my
partner with
point.
me, right?
Like,
Like,
we know who the players are for the most part. Just get it
I
out.
know.
Just
I know,
get it out
I'm
there.
just throwing it out there
And let them know we have
He's just saying he's got
programs.
property.
They'll come for, like, I don't know if we need to spend $25,000 for me to say, oh, Jim has property. No kidding, Dick Tracy. Like, we know that. You know, I mean, it's.
Or like Don saying,
Like
But I
Don-
think
just
it's more
because it's
like,
not
okay,
listed
Don
doesn't
had-
mean it's not
like,
marketable.
I think it was more like, okay, we'll find those Jimmy Don Julie's, but we'll tell you what it'll cost to put this on it. Now, and I hear you, I think, you know, let's focus on
Let's go on
number
number
3
three, but
Yep.
that's just number,
Well,
it
you
just
know,
wasn't
too,
resonating with me.
The market value stuff
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
You know, there's a,
Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a price point.
there's a,
But it
and
makes
there's a
sense.
gap
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
which is what, you know, we're
For the
hoping
area.
that the ID incentives will address it, particularly on a smaller scale, because the larger scale, the
It's
numbers look
easier.
overwhelming, and it's definitely gonna take grant funding to get some of those larger projects done. I mean,
I think-
Prime was a prime example of, I mean, that was a public-private partnership, you know. Imagine incentivizing housing.
but if you put something out on social media, which it'll,
I think you
Get out
better
there.
choice.
Yes.
I think
That
that's better.
we can find out.
Yep.
They'll raise their hands.
Yeah,
like you were saying.
absolutely.
They'll raise, if we get it out there.
Yeah.
That, hey, we're here and you want to develop, and
Yep.
we're looking at small developments like KLM.
Yep.
They'll come out of the woodwork.
Yep.
The bigger ones are gonna be done by
The primes of the world.
the
Yeah.
primes of the world. The smaller ones are
Yeah.
what we're gonna be, yeah. Smaller ones are where it's at, I think, for now.
So, great. So we'll get an
mean,
action strategy plan to find those people and,
Yeah.
go from there. So, I don't think we have any other business, Chairman, so, we would move on to the Clinton County update, which Christine, if you wanna give a brief synopsis of your life right
My life right now,
now.
I think we're just still moving along there.
Yeah, budget, you can tell them.
It's coming. I'm like dialed in about maybe 7 away from really having a good idea. Mike said he never smiled in October, and now that the end of October, or the middle of October is here, I'm wondering, yep, October sucks. But that's okay. I'll get through.
He warned you.
I still smile, even though it sucks. So we're in the middle of budget. I should be dialed in on something by end of October. Clinton Community College, we just keep
Yeah.
plugging
so,
along.
And you'll note that's in my, executive director's report. Christine and I did meet with, CPL the other day, with the draft final concept of what they're coming up with. It's still pretty big picture, but, you know, when they layer it out and explain it, it's not quite as grandiose as the one they had
I can
put it
tell-
forth before.
The feedback I'm getting from the community is, it's, at some point, people are looking for tangible options. And the first one obviously was 30,000 foot. So I'm hoping the next one is something that people can say, oh yeah.
I think
it is.
so.
I think it is.
It's, the diagram is a little intimidating, so it has to be explained. They just
But-
gotta,
And how they're gonna present it, they're gonna present it a little differently this time.
Yeah.
I wanna remind you, we had to move that meeting. So the presentation was not exactly as understandable as we had hoped it would be because the person, their principal could not be there. Hard when you've got people on Zoom and they're trying to explain something, but, I think that the way they're going to explain it this time is they're gonna show it in phases. Doesn't look like, oh my God, how are you ever gonna do that? But let's start with this one. I'll start with this right here. You know, they're looking at an anchor tenant, but it's not quite so grandiose like the Great Wolf Lodge.
it's not
Kind
like
of uses,
boarding a
kind of uses,
hotel.
and you know, some people have said, you can't do anything with that property on Woodcliff. It's too much slates, too much this. Well, they've said, look this is how we laid it out because of topography, right? They put something there that potentially Woodcliff and Cliff Haven could live with. So, and leave the beach, you know, so they're working through all of that feedback and they do, you know, there's a lot of people who say, you know, they don't understand that property. They do understand that property. That's why we hired them to understand that property. And so, you know, they're very well aware of the topography challenges, the challenges with the Moore building. They're completely aware and felt like once they,
I felt better.
yeah,
You know, cause we had said like this area near Woodcliff and Cliff Haven, you know, how is that gonna work? And, you know, they answered
Yep.
that question, okay.
yeah,
You know, their anchor tenant is now not a huge hotel. It's more of, you know, recreational, outdoor recreation, like alpine slides, trails, kind of what we're hearing from
Yeah,
the people that come and talk. you know,
So
there's,
a big water slide from the top all the
Yeah.
way down to the lake.
right?
Nice.
Excellent. We're gonna jump over the Woodcliff home.
Oh, nice.
Top, in the winter,
We
that's
got
a
it.
toboggan run.
We got a zip line.
But you know, they're taking the feedback very seriously, and again,
Yeah.
I really, this far
They
as,
really redid the,
yeah, they heard
concept.
what everybody said, and they really are working, and I think it's as we've said before, you know, it is gonna take time. It's not, you know, we're not gonna fix this and sell this property overnight. I mean, it is up to the legislature.
Airbase, perfect example.
Yeah, it is up to the legislature to what they want to do with it. And, you know, there is a reality that somebody could come and hand them however many millions of dollars and the legislature says, fine, take it. But I'm hopeful that this study will help, that we'll be able to work with this study and kind of do this phased development plan. Because their biggest concern is paying for those properties that are sitting vacant.
and they're also really, you know, they're also now realistic with like, okay, the George Moore building, really, the first 2 floors are
Right.
really the only usable floors. The
Yeah.
rest of it is gonna have to.
And I think too, you know, we did talk to them about what the low hanging fruit kind of thing, to get some revenue flowing there.
Mhm.
The site across the road for housing that was identified in our study
Right.
For workforce.
is an easy development. Now, the cash flow issue might be a problem, but
But see, that one might not be, because
Right.
if you look at it, you know, you've got the infrastructure out at the road,
yes,
right?
yeah, there's less infrastructure
There's
issues
less
there.
infrastructure, you know, where,
Yeah.
but that one might,
If you did a combined use, if you did a, like a low income workforce combined use, there's a lot of money out there right now for that. And the E-Shi's pay for, you know, they continue to pay the life of the building, so it kind of floats the rest of the costs. Cause they're 30,000, they moved those up to 30,000 a unit now, so a year. So that helps.
So that's kind of where the county's at with that. We'll continue to keep you updated on that. I can just kind of flow right into my management report, if that's okay.
That's great.
And there's not a whole lot, for me to highlight, but, did want to make you aware that, as I mentioned, I was asked to present at the New York State EDC Leadership Conference, on how to run an IDA. So I guess we're doing something right. So that's really exciting. And, we sponsored it at the lower level. I have yet, what was the attendance fee, Tony? Yeah, I don't think it was $1,500, but.
No.
So, so we guess we made a wise move there. But our logo is on the website, and, manufacturing day, we're wrapping that up with TDC and final details in the IAM. I think what we're being is, there's a couple schools that might have transportation issues, so there's a cost issue there. So we may, be looking at a couple $100 to throw in there. And then, they're looking for a co-sponsor with Clinton Community College for the t-shirts. I thought that might be kind of cool to stick our logo on everybody's shirt that attends for the day. And they're inviting all 8th graders from all the schools. I think they have had 8 or 9 schools say that they're interested, because it's not just Clinton County schools. So. Cool. I think that's really all.
Well,
I had to highlight for you.
you've got 2 project updates on the list that I had questions about.
Sure. Happy to answer questions.
Connecticut Avenue Holdings, council sent default letter,
Yeah.
quarterly report received. What did the quarterly report say?
The same exact thing it says
That's a problem.
every time.
That's a problem.
So Shannon, we're working through that, yes?
Yes, so the cure period in the document and what we had reiterated in the default letter is 30 days. I'll confirm when we sent the letter and what the 30th day is, but at this point, we've given formal notice of default, so probably at the next meeting, we could move forward with a document to, you know, finalize the actual close out of that project if necessary.
Okay, thank you. And the second one was Invenergy. A call was held with both council teams. Project would like a letter from the IDA indicating we agreed to $5,000 per megawatt so they can begin host community agreement, negotiations.
Yes.
I thought we were giving Invenergy the same deal as we gave, you know, the old projects, Noble and everything else.
I'm sorry, that is a mistake. That should have said AES, not Invenergy.
Well, regardless of what it
Okay.
says,
Yeah.
AES.
Yeah.
I still think the original, matter of fact, I'm certain of it, the original projects we had, you know, 25 years ago $5,000 per megawatt and a $1,000 capacity royalty, I believe, for 5 years. Is that included in there?
Well, so remember, we standardized our green energy agreement. So in our UTEP, we have a green energy policy.
Yeah, but I thought it was, I didn't think it was supposed to be any better than we gave the original projects.
I'm sorry, what were the original projects? Okay,
And an additional $1,000 per megawatt called a capacity royalty fee, share that up in the documents. And
we had the escalator, but the royalty fee was never discussed. So to this point, we have not had that, nobody at this table. I
well,
think
is the goal
has had that
is the
question.
goal to match what we did originally, or did we change our minds?
Well, you must have changed your minds because you already had an approving resolution on this. That's their benefit has been solidified by this board.
Well, I'm not happy about that because I was part of those discussions and it was contentious. And that was the saving grace, was that additional $1,000 for 5 years, unless we somewhere on the record said we don't want to do that anymore.
Well, I'm sorry, Mike, but this is the first time I'm hearing this because we've had AES here. Eric Will, you asked them all these questions. We talked about the 5,000 per megawatt. Unless you guys want to go back to the drawing board and ask for this additional.
No, but I do
1,000.
want to go back and do a research of all the minutes out, because I cannot believe I didn't say that before. I mean, it's
I'm
not,
happy to pull the minutes for you. But this is what we had agreed to in our approving resolutions and the discussions that we had. And our uniform tax exemption policy is what that states. I don't think, if we did some sort of 1,000 extra from this company, that would be a deviation from our UTEP.
no, it wouldn't be for this company. So yeah, I agree with you that it would, but I just didn't think that's what we did. But I could be wrong. That's fine.
Well, let's.
I mean, listen, maybe
Yeah.
you guys don't want it, it's your business, but I mean, our business, but I just know that way back when, the $5,000, unless we said something, the market has changed and it's only worth $5,000. But I do know that way back when, because we were fighting with the school wasn't on board for that Adirondack way back when, and the towns had already negotiated.
Right, which
their
is what
HDAs.
we stopped them from doing.
And that's why, and that's, that got that additional.
Did you get the additional money because the host community agreements had already been negotiated?
Well, well, I'm sure that was part of it.
Yeah,
Sure that was.
because we were very clear that they couldn't negotiate host community agreements and still get our benefits. At least I was very clear with them. Yeah.
That I know I said.
Yeah.
But anyway, if we could just do a paper
Sure.
review.
Sure. And I think unless anybody has any other questions, Chairman.
May I get a motion to adjourn the CCID? John?
Just, yeah.
Just the ID.
Yeah.
Christine, second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's move on to the CRC meeting. Call it to order. Waive the reading of the notice of the meeting as well as the minutes and get a motion to approve. Christine, Joey, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. No public comment. Joey, treasury report.
Okay, the account balance as of 9/30/2025 was $101,550 in checking, $244,230.62 in the sweep account, and $150,460.01 in the ICS savings account. Income, the organization received $100 from NFI for FTZ fees and $185.36 in interest income. The organization paid no expenses in September, and that's my report.
Okay, may I get a motion to approve the treasury report? Christine, second.
I'll second.
John, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I do recommend the board approval to post proposed budget for 2026 to Paris and at the Clinton County Government Center.
Thank you. With there being no other business, may I get a motion to approve Finance Committee's recommendation of posting budget 26 to Paris and at the Clinton County Government Center. John, Christine, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This for the Capital Resource Corporation. If not, I get a motion to adjourn. Got Joey, Christine, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to the Clinton County, Clinton Grant Facilitation Corporation. I'll call the meeting to order. Waive the reading of the minutes as well as the notice of the meeting and ask for a motion to approve that. John, Joey, second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Finance Committee.
I recommend board approval to post 2026 proposed budget to Paris and at the Clinton County Government Center.
Okay, with without there any old business, we have a motion to approve posting of the budget 2026 to Paris and at the Clinton County Government Center. Christine, John, second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any other business for the grant facilitation?
None, Chairman.
Get a motion to adjourn. John, Christine, any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
All right, Shannon, thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Oh, boy.
Meeting, folks.
I like that. First lady. She worked hard.